1407. Local. Red Sea. 112 nautical miles northwest of the Yemeni port of Hodeidah. International waters. Sea state. Moderate. Swells at 1.4 meters from the northwest. Wind at 14 knots. Visibility unrestricted under a flat blue sky with no cloud cover. The kind of afternoon in the southern Red Sea where there is nowhere to hide and everything is visible to everything else. USS Gravely, DDG 107, Arleigh Burke Class Flight 2. A destroyer was conducting maritime security operations in the Red Sea corridor, the primary commercial shipping lane connecting the Suez Canal to the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, through which approximately 12% of global trade transited each year. For the preceding 7 months, Houthi forces in Yemen, equipped with Iranian-supplied ballistic and cruise missile systems, had been engaging commercial shipping in this corridor. USS Gravely had been defending it. In those 7 months, Gravely had intercepted 14 Houthi projectiles, anti-ship ballistic missiles, one-way drone munitions, and cruise missiles, without a single impact on the ship or on the commercial vessels she was covering. The ship's crew had conducted more live intercept engagements than any other surface combatant in the U.S. Navy in the preceding 12 months. The Aegis system and its operators aboard Gravely were among the most operationally exercised in the fleet. The contact picture at 1407 was active. 3 commercial tankers were transiting northbound in the shipping lane, 18 to 34 nautical miles to Gravely's east. USS Laboon, DDG-58, was operating 62 nautical miles to the north, covering the upper corridor. A French frigate was 88 nautical miles south. The SLQ-32 was passive, monitoring the Houthi electronic emission picture, consistent with elevated activity over the preceding 48 hours, consistent with previous pre-engagement signatures. At 14:09:12, the SPY-1D detected a launch from the Yemeni coast, then a second launch, then a third, then, at 14:09:31, 19 seconds after the first detection, a fourth track, different from the first 3. The first 3 had the ballistic trajectory signature of a Birkin 3 medium-range ballistic missile, a modified Scud variant, Iranian supplied, with a 450-kilogram warhead, terminal phase at Mach 5.2, maneuvering re-entry vehicle. The fourth track was different. Lower, faster in the horizontal plane. The emission signature of a Shahed 136 swarm coordinator drone, operating as a terminal guidance relay for the ballistic package. The Shahed was not a weapon. It was a targeting asset, an airborne designator providing real-time position updates to the 3 ballistic missiles' terminal guidance packages during their re-entry phase. This was the tactical innovation the Houthi technical cell had been working on for 5 months. The Birkin 3's primary limitation in previous engagements had been terminal guidance accuracy. Ballistic missiles against maneuvering ships at sea required mid-course updates that ground-based radar could not reliably provide at extended range. The solution they had developed: a Shahed 136 stripped of its warhead and reconfigured as an airborne targeting relay. The drone orbited at 4,200 meters altitude over the projected impact zone, received position data from the ship's radar return, and relayed corrected terminal coordinates to the incoming ballistic missiles during their final 18 seconds of flight. It was not a technology the U.S. Navy had encountered in operational conditions before this engagement. The TAO designated all 4 tracks simultaneously at 14:09:38. The Shahed 136 coordinator received an ESSM engagement designation. It was not a ballistic missile. It was a slow subsonic drone at 4,200 meters, and an SM-6 against it was disproportionate use of a limited inventory. The 3 Birkin 3s received SM-6 designations, 2 rounds per missile, 6 rounds committed. ESSM rounds 1 and 2 away against the Shahed coordinator at 14:09:44. SM-6 rounds 1 and 2 away against track Alpha at 14:09:47. SM-6 rounds 3 and 4 away against track Bravo at 14:09:51. SM-6 rounds 5 and 6 away against track Charlie at 14:09:55. The Shahed coordinator was neutralized at 14:10:19. The ESSM rounds impacted the drone at 31 nautical miles range, 4,100 meters altitude. Both rounds detonated within 1.4 meters of the target. The drone ceased transmitting at 14:10:21, 38 seconds before the Birkin 3S would reach their terminal phase. This was the critical moment the engagement turned on. The three Birkin 3s had received continuous position updates from the Shahed coordinator from 14:09:31 until 14:10:21. 50 seconds of guidance data. At the moment, the coordinator was neutralized. All three missiles' terminal guidance packages locked to their last received coordinate fix. The coordinate was accurate to within 14 meters of Gravely's actual position at 14:10:21. But Gravely was moving. At 18 knots on a 230-degree heading, the ship would travel approximately 155 meters in the 38 seconds between the coordinator's neutralization and the missile's terminal phase arrival. 155 meters of positional drift away from a coordinate locked at 14:10:21. The SM-6 intercepts began at 14:10:44. Track Alpha. SM-6 Round 1 detonated at 41 kilometers altitude. Loft phase intercept. Track Alpha was neutralized. Track Bravo. SM-6 Round 3 achieved intercept at 28 kilometers altitude. Track Bravo was neutralized. Track Charlie. SM-6 Round 5 intercepted at 19 kilometers altitude. Track Charlie neutralized. Round 6 was commanded to self-destruct at 14:11:02. 3 Birkin. 3 ballistic missiles. 3 SM-6 intercepts. 0 penetrations. But the last received coordinate from the neutralized Shahed coordinator had been transmitted to the 3 Birkin 3s. The terminal guidance locked. And then something happened that the Houthi technical cell had not programmed for. 2 of the 3 missiles' terminal guidance packages, Tracks Alpha and Bravo, had their guidance sections physically rendered inoperable by the SM-6 fragmentation warheads. They ceased to exist as coherent objects. Track Charlie's SM-6 intercept had impacted the missile's propulsion section rather than its guidance section. The guidance unit survived the intercept, sheared from the main airframe, but intact and transmitting. It continued on a ballistic arc toward the last locked coordinate, a 12-kilogram guidance and seeker assembly, separated from its 450-kilogram warhead body, traveling on a ballistic arc from 19 kilometers altitude. The warhead section of Track Charlie, the 450-kilogram main body, had been rendered inert by the SM-6 intercept. Its propulsion was rendered inoperable, its flight path disrupted, and it tumbled away from the engagement corridor into open water 31 nautical miles northwest of Gravely. No detonation, no threat. The 12-kilogram guidance assembly was the threat no one had computed for. At 14:11:14, the SPY-1D was tracking a 0.08 square meter radar cross-section object on a ballistic trajectory from 14 kilometers altitude, bearing 047, range 9.1 nautical miles. Time to impact, 41 seconds. The object was too small for an SM-6 engagement. The SM-6's minimum reliable engagement cross-section was significantly larger. CIWS acquired the object at range 2.1 nautical miles and opened fire at 14:11:43. The CIWS expended 312 rounds in 4.1 seconds. The guidance assembly was impacted at range 0.8 nautical miles. The fragmentation dispersed the object across a wide debris cone. The primary mass was deflected from its original trajectory by the 20mm impacts. It impacted the water 47 meters off Gravely's port bow. No warhead. No detonation. The splash pattern of a 12-kilogram aluminum and electronics assembly hitting water at 180 meters per second. Debris from the dispersed guidance assembly reached Gravely's weather deck. 17 fragments, ranging from 8 grams to 340 grams, impacted the weather deck, the port bridge wing, and the forward 5-inch gun mount housing. The gun mount's optical sensor housing took a direct impact from the largest fragment, the 340-gram piece, and was rendered inoperable. The bridge wing railing was bent. A weather deck equipment locker was perforated. Hull integrity. unaffected. No breach, no flooding, no fire. 3 crew members on the weather deck at the time of the debris impact were treated for minor lacerations from secondary fragment scatter. All 3 returned to duty within 2 hours. The ship was operational. The gun mount optical sensor was not. That sensor provided the fire control solution for the 5-inch gun against surface and limited air targets. Without it, the gun was restricted to manually directed fire. The Aegis system, the VLS, the SPY-1D, the CIWS, all nominal. The ship had absorbed debris impact from a 12-kilogram guidance assembly, traveling at 180 meters per second, and continued operations without interruption. This was the damage. 1 optical sensor housing rendered inoperable. Cost, $240,000. Repair time, estimated 8 days. This was also the moment. A 12-kilogram guidance assembly had reached USS Gravely's weather deck. In every operational brief, in every engagement report, in every after-action document that would be written about this event, that sentence would appear. A piece of a Birkin 3 ballistic missile had physically contacted a U.S. Navy destroyer. The intercepts had been successful. The warhead had been rendered inert, and a 12-kilogram fragment of electronics had still landed on the ship. The DCA confirmed ship status at 14:13:09, 4 minutes after the initial launch detection. All systems nominal, gun mount optical sensor inoperable. 3 personnel with minor lacerations returned to duty. Weather deck debris cleared, no structural damage. Ship status, fully operational with 1 sensor degraded. The captain reported to 5th Fleet at 14:14. The Houthi technical cell's guidance relay concept had partially worked. The Shahed coordinator had functioned as designed, transmitting real-time position data for 50 seconds of the missile's flight. The ESSM intercept of the coordinator had severed the relay 38 seconds before the terminal phase, long enough for the ballistic missiles to carry a stale coordinate into their terminal guidance lock. The positional drift created by Gravely's own speed had moved the ship 155 meters from the locked coordinate by the time the SM-6 intercepts occurred. That drift had contributed to clean intercept geometry on all 3 missiles. The technical cell had not modeled the survival of a guidance assembly post-intercept. The concept of a stripped guidance unit continuing on a ballistic arc after the main airframe was neutralized was not in their damage modeling. The 12-kilogram debris impact on Gravely's weather deck was, from their perspective, an unintended partial result. The component of the operation that reached the ship was not the weapon. It was the fragment of the weapon's eye. The authorization came at 14:19:44, 5 minutes and 44 seconds after the captain's report. The response package had been pre-positioned for exactly this contingency. Houthi ballistic missile launch sites in western Yemen had been in the target database since month 2 of the Red Sea campaign. The coordinates were current. The weapons solutions existed. USS Laboon, DDG 58, 62 nautical miles north, acknowledged strike tasking at 14:20. USS Mason, DDG 87, 140 nautical miles northwest, acknowledged at 14:20:12. The carrier strike group, USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, CVN 69, operating 310 nautical miles west of the Bab el-Mandeb, received air wing authorization at 14:21. T+0. Birkin 3 launches detected. 14:09. T+4 minutes. 3 intercepts complete. Debris impact on Gravely. 14:13. T+10 minutes. Authorization received. 14:19. T+12 minutes. First Tomahawk, USS Laboon. 14:21. T+17 minutes. First F/A, 18E/F. Wheels up from Eisenhower. 14:26. T+29 minutes. First Tomahawk impacts Site Alpha. 14:38. T+64 minutes. F/A, 18 first wave at weapons release range. 15:13. Total from debris. Impact to first Houthi site neutralized. 25 minutes. First Tomahawk, USS Laboon, VLS Cell 11. 14:21. Cost: $1.87 million. Target: Site Alpha. The primary Birkin 3 launch site on the Yemeni coast, the fixed installation from which all 3 ballistic missiles had been fired. The launch rails, the integration shelter, and the associated command and targeting equipment. Flight time: 17 minutes. Running response cost: $1.87 million. Tomahawks 2 through 5. Site Alpha. Launch rail structures, propellant storage, radar integration equipment, access road denial. Running cost: $9.4 million. Tomahawks 6 through 9. Site Bravo. The Shahed Coordinator Launch Facility. The technical cell had operated the coordinator drone from a mobile ground control station, assessed to be co-located with a second Birkin 3 battery, 14 nautical miles inland from Site Alpha. The ground control station was a fixed trailer within a permanent compound. 4 rounds. Running cost: $16.8 million. Tomahawks 10 through 14. Site Charlie. The Iranian Technical Advisory Facility near Sana'a that had developed and field-tested the Shahed guidance relay concept. Intelligence had identified the facility 8 weeks earlier. It had been in the target database since week 9 of the campaign. 5 rounds. Running cost: $26.2 million. Tomahawks 15 through 18. Site Delta. A third. Birkin 3 battery assessed from pre-engagement NRO. Imagery as the reload and reconstitution site for the Western Yemen ballistic missile program. The site held launch equipment, missile components, and the logistics infrastructure for the entire operational program. 4 rounds. Running cost: $33.6 million. At 14:38, 25 minutes after the debris impact, the first Tomahawk reached Site Alpha. The launch rail structures received direct impacts from rounds 1 and 2 in a 9-second sequence. Post-engagement imagery via MQ-9 Reaper at 18,000 feet confirmed both rail structures rendered inoperable. Round 3 impacted the propellant storage. The thermal signature that followed, sustained for 71 seconds on the Reaper feed, indicated significant stored propellant involvement. Round 4 on the radar integration shelter, and Round 5 on the access road choke point. Site Alpha assessed as functionally eliminated at 14:39:22. Running cost at T plus 30 minutes, $9.4 million against a Site Alpha assessed replacement value of $180 million. The 3 Birkin 3s that had been launched, cost approximately $4.5 million combined, had produced a $240,000 optical sensor housing and 3 minor lacerations. The response cost to eliminate the battery that launched them, $9.4 million. The battery's replacement cost under current sanctions, $180 million, 4 to 6 years. 1444, Site Bravo, Shahed Coordinator Facility. All 4 Tomahawks on target. The ground control station trailer was confirmed inoperable on post-engagement imagery. Co-located Birkin 3 battery, 2 launch rails and associated integration equipment received direct impacts. The technical cell's guidance relay capability was assessed as eliminated at 14:44:51. The concept would need to be rebuilt from scratch, requiring Iranian technical advisory personnel, imported components, and a facility, all of which were now either neutralized or on an updated target list. 1449. Site Charlie. Iranian Technical Advisory Facility near Sana'a. 5 rounds. The facility's main building and 2 associated structures received direct impacts. Post-engagement imagery confirmed all 3 structures rendered inoperable. The technical personnel who had developed the Shahed guidance relay concept were assessed as not present. The facility had not shown personnel activity on NRO imagery in the 48 hours before the engagement, consistent with a pre-operation dispersal protocol. The concept was gone. Its developers were elsewhere. 1454. Site Delta, Reconstitution and Logistics Site. 4 Tomahawks. 2 rounds on the missile component storage structures. 1 on the launch equipment depot. 1 on the access road approach. Secondary event from the component storage. Propellant involvement produced a thermal signature lasting 44 seconds. The reconstitution capability for the Western Yemen Burkan 3 program was assessed as severely degraded. The FA-18 formations from Eisenhower arrived at weapons release range at 1513. 2 4-ship elements, JSOW and JDAM packages. Targets: a 5th assessed Burkan 3 battery in the central coastal zone that had not been part of the initial Tomahawk package, and 3 Houthi air defense installations in the western corridor, whose radar emissions had been present throughout the engagement. Clearing those radar systems was a precondition for sustained air operations in the corridor. 8 JSOW, munitions against the 5th battery. 6 confirmed impacts. 2 rounds impacted the radar installation cluster. Both sites confirmed neutralized. The FA-18 second wave employed 6 JDAMs against the air defense radar installations. All 6 confirmed impact. Not everything succeeded. Site Bravo's ground control station had been the primary target of the 4-round Tomahawk package. Post-engagement imagery confirmed the trailer inoperable. What it could not confirm was whether the guidance relay software and configuration data, the technical core of the Shahed coordinator concept, had been stored on the trailer's onboard systems or transmitted off-site before the engagement. If the data existed on a remote server, the technical cell could reconstitute the concept with new hardware in a fraction of the time required to rebuild from scratch. That question remained open. The Iranian Technical Advisory Facility at Site Charlie had been neutralized structurally. Its personnel were not present. Their location was unconfirmed. The technical knowledge that had produced the guidance relay innovation existed in the minds of those personnel and in whatever documentation they had with them. The facility was gone. The knowledge was not. Site Delta's reconstitution capability was assessed as severely degraded, not eliminated. 2 rounds had impacted the component storage structures and produced confirmed secondary events. But 1 assessed storage structure on the western edge of the compound had not received a direct impact. Its contents were unconfirmed. 3 fog elements. Software data possibly off-site. Technical personnel unlocated. 1 storage structure not confirmed neutralized. 4 of 5 sites fully neutralized. Guidance relay operational capability eliminated. Reconstitution timeline for equivalent capability assessed at 2 to 3 years with Iranian technical support, longer without. At 1547, both FA-18 formations turned west toward Eisenhower. All aircraft recovered. Weapons expended. The accounting, Houthi. Operational investment, 3 Burkan. 3 missiles at $1.5 million each. $4.5 million. 1 Shahed 136 coordinator drone, modified. Estimated $85,000. Ground control station and coordination costs. Estimated $200,000. Total, $4.785 million. Damage achieved. 1 5-inch gun mount optical sensor housing rendered inoperable. $240,000 replacement cost. 3 crew members with minor lacerations, all returned to duty within 2 hours. Ship fully operational. The guidance relay innovation, 5 months of technical development, Iranian engineering support, field testing, integration work, had produced a debris impact from a 12-kilogram guidance assembly. The warhead reached 0 meters from the ship. The guidance unit reached 47 meters from the ship and scattered fragments across the weather deck. U.S. response cost, 18 Tomahawks at $1.87 million, $33.7 million, 16 F/A, 18E/F sorties, $14.4 million, 2 MQ-9 Reaper sorties, $0.8 million, total, $48.9 million. Adversary infrastructure removed. Site Alpha launch battery. Site Bravo coordinator facility and co-located battery. Site Charlie technical advisory facility. Site Delta reconstitution site. Site Echo radar network. Assessed total replacement value, $940 million. Western Yemen. Burkan 3 operational capacity assessed at 14% of pre-engagement baseline. Guidance relay program. Assessed as eliminated pending off-site data status. The Houthi technical cell had done something genuinely innovative, stripping a Shahed 136 of its warhead and reconfiguring it as a real-time targeting relay for ballistic missiles in flight. That is not a simple modification. It required Iranian engineering expertise, a modified ground control architecture, integration work with the Birkin 3 terminal guidance system, and operational testing. 5 months of development. The concept was sound. What the technical cell had not modeled was the 155-meter positional drift that Gravely's own speed produced in the 38 seconds between the coordinator's neutralization and the missile's terminal phase. That drift meant the locked coordinate was 155 meters behind where the ship actually was. 155 meters. The difference between 3 warhead detonations on the ship and 3 SM-6 intercepts in clean geometry. The ship's own movement was, inadvertently, part of its defense. And the 12-kilogram guidance assembly that reached the weather deck, the unintended result of an SM-6 that impacted the propulsion section, rather than the guidance section of Track Charlie's airframe, was documented as the first physical contact between a Houthi ballistic missile component and a U.S. warship in 7 months of Red Sea operations. The sensor housing will be replaced in 8 days. The battery that launched the missiles that produced that fragment will require 4 to 6 years to reconstitute. USS Gravely, DDG-107. Debris impact, weather deck and port bridge wing, from guidance assembly of intercept Track Charlie. 5-inch gun mount optical sensor housing rendered inoperable. $240,000, 8-day repair. Hull integrity, unaffected. All Aegis systems nominal. VLS, 86 of 96 cells operational after engagement. SPY-1D, all 4 arrays nominal. 3 personnel with minor lacerations, return to duty within 2 hours. Ship status, fully operational with 1 sensor degraded. USS Laboon, DDG-58, no damage. 10 Tomahawks expended. USS Mason, DDG-87, no damage. 8 Tomahawks expended. USS D. Eisenhower, CVN-69. 16F/A, 18E/F sorties. All aircraft recovered. Total U.S. response cost, $48.9 million. Adversary, Alpha. Birkin 3 launch battery, confirmed neutralized. Bravo. Shahed coordinator facility and co-located battery, confirmed neutralized. Charlie. Iranian technical advisory facility, confirmed neutralized. Personnel unlocated. Delta. Reconstitution site, severely degraded, 1 structure unconfirmed. Air defense radar network, confirmed neutralized. U.S. execution gaps. Guidance relay software data possibly off-site. Reconstitution timeline uncertain. Site Charlie technical personnel unlocated. Site Delta 1 storage structure unconfirmed. 25 minutes. The interval between the first Houthi debris fragment landing on USS Gravely's weather deck and the first Tomahawk reaching the battery that had launched the missiles that produced it. The guidance relay concept. 5 months of development. Iranian engineering support. A genuine tactical innovation. Survived contact with the Aegis engagement system for approximately 90 seconds before the ESSM rounds reached the coordinator drone. After that, it was a timing problem. The locked coordinate, the positional drift, the SM-6 intercepts. 25 minutes later, the battery was gone. The sensor housing costs $240,000. The response cost $48.9 million. The infrastructure removed will take years to reconstitute. The ship is fully operational. The corridor is open. The next transit is scheduled for 7 o'clock tomorrow. The 12-kilogram guidance assembly that reached Gravely's weather deck is in an evidence bag in the ship's damage control locker. It traveled from a Yemeni launch site to the deck of a U.S. Navy destroyer by way of a Shahed 136 targeting relay, 3 Birkin, 3 ballistic missiles, 2 ESSM interceptors, 6 SM-6 rounds, and a CIWS burst of 312 rounds of 20 millimeters. It weighed 12 kilograms when it landed. It represents 5 months of Houthi technical development, Iranian engineering expertise, and one genuine tactical innovation that was neutralized 38 seconds before it could make a difference. What it did not represent, and what the planning cell had designed it to represent, was the end of USS Gravely's operations in the Red Sea corridor. The ship is still there. The corridor is still open.